Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott on the board, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table this evening, Helen Freund, food writer for Gambit Weekly. Welcome. Hello, dear. Hi. And Alan Smason of theatercriticism.com. We'll also have performances by Benny Grunch and the Bunch and Armand St. Martin. And Poppy will be joining us again next week. But first up, Miss Helen.
Right, well, thanks for having me again. It's shaping up to be a very, very busy year for restaurants next year. So I figured we could talk a little bit about all these places that are opening. A lot of big name chefs, like a lot of James Beard Award winning chefs are opening new places. First up, there's Justine, which is the newest restaurant from Justin DeVilliers.
Wow.
So you know, him and his wife, they own La Petite Grocerie uptown and then Belize. And this is going to be a French brasserie on Charter Street in the Quarter. And it's opening very soon. We're thinking mid-January at the moment. And so, you know, one of the things about New Orleans that's, I think, interesting is we've got this long sort of cultural connection to France, and what we have is a lot of French Creole restaurants, right? But not so many, I mean, there's a couple, but not so many restaurants that are just very straight up classic French bistro fare. And so that's, I think, what they're going for here. So that's exciting. Then after that, we've got, this is probably going to open even before that, Chef Zemanek who was at Gautro's.
Yes, Sue.
Also a James Beard Award winner. She is opening up Zazu in the old Rue 127 spot on Carrollton.
Yeah.
And that is probably opening up, I mean, any day now. And we can expect from that, I think it's going to be upscale to a certain extent, but still a neighborhood bistro. You know, she comes from a fine dining background, so we're going to see a lot of sort of the culinary skills that she's honed over the years, and a lot of vegetables, a lot of seafood. And, you know, she took some time off and she was raising a family, and then she started doing these Indonesian pop-ups all over town. So I don't think we should be surprised to see some of that on the menu, too. Yeah. Next up, this is probably one of the bigger openings of the year. Donald Link and his restaurant group, they're opening up a new Italian restaurant on Magazine Street, so on downtown, 700 block, I believe. And so that is going to be, it's called Gianna, and the head chef at Herb Saint, Rebecca Wilcombe, is actually coming over to lead that restaurant. Yeah, and it's named for her grandmother, her Italian grandmother, who grew up in the Veneto region of Italy. And so far, they said maybe a February opening for that one. Definitely, I remember her saying, I think maybe after Mardi Gras, so maybe March. But in any case, it's going to be sort of regional Italian from all over the country, not one specific region. And probably some dishes from Rebecca's grandmother as well.
It is amazing how exciting it is to be living here in this time period for culinary interests.
Gosh.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, they keep on coming.
And all of these restaurants are opening within like the next couple of months, most likely. So it's coming. So there's, I mean, tons more that are going to be throughout the year. Yeah, so it's exciting. The next one after that, this is probably opening around February as well, is going to be called Costera. It's uptown on Britannia Street, and it's going to be from two Link restaurant group alums as well, Reno Duraneri and Brian Burns, who is currently the the chef de cuisine at Pesh. And that's going to be coastal Spanish cuisine.
Is that where Latai was?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So Latai just closed, but she still, you know, they still own the building, so they're leasing it out to the two chefs.
We need a family tree, like coming from the Link group or this group or that group.
Oh my gosh, I mean, they're all, that's kind of, it's one of the fun things about working in a restaurant here in New Orleans is because it is still, you know, kind of a smaller town, and people move around. They work at the same restaurants. They get to know someone. They work at that bar and then that. So, yeah.
And then one more. You've got one more.
One
here?
more.
Yes.
This one, we've been waiting on this one for a while. This one's pretty exciting. So Talia from Coquettes, Kristen and Mike Stolfitz, right? They're partners at the restaurant, and they're opening up maybe a smaller, more intimate 30-seat restaurant in the Lower Garden District. That's all we really know so far. But
very exciting.
Yeah,
very exciting. And they've done such a great job. 10 years with Coquette.
10 years. Yeah, can you believe it?
Very hard to believe. Wow. Thank you so much. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, we asked for the name of this Christmas song that contains the line, "You'll see a Dixieland Santa Claus," leading the band to a good old Creole beat. And who performed it? The answer is Christmas Time in New Orleans by Louis Armstrong. Now tonight's question. This jazz song contains the line, "All I want for Christmas is the Saints in the Super Bowl." Amen. Name the song and the performer. Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes, an apron with the message, "Life is Gouda," from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. And we also have copies of the books, Pascal's Manali Cookbook by Poppy Tooker, of course, Pontchartrain Beach, A Family Affair by Brian Batt and Katie Danos, and A Fire in My Lens by Armand Richardson. You can go to wyes.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including NOLA Christmas Fest, which will be wrapping up this Monday. It is so much fun. You can get your picture taken in a giant snow globe, plus there's ice skating in this big shoot-to-shoot too. So lots of fun for kids of all ages, all right? Okay. Also, you can link to our WYES YouTube channel to see our program. You know, earlier today, Benny Grunch and members of his band, The Bunch, came in to visit and to perform for us. Benny Grunch and The Bunch. Before the end of the holidays, we had to have Benny and our bunch here. Benny, how long have you been playing music?
Since 1959. That was my first gig for money.
And that's a good one. And how about The Bunch?
The Bunch started in 1964 at the Brown Door in Hammond, and the Brown Door is still there.
Wow.
I've had several reunions.
So many songs and all these albums during the year. You keep changing out some of the songs.
I don't know when to quit.
And of course, the 12 Yats of Christmas,
Yes.
which we hear so much on the radio too. But what are some of your favorite holiday songs?
I think the one we're going to do today, we're going to do a real Catholic song for you today. And one I never do on the gig because it's so hard. The Elves Finally Rap. That is really something.
Okay.
But I've never gotten it together for a gig.
Well, what you have coming up?
Okay, coming up, January 6th, King's Day, we're going to be on the front porch of the Mortuary on Canal Street. I think everybody knows what that is, for a giant king cake party. Everybody's invited. Just come on over. And then either January 27th or February 10th, we're going to be at Trinity Lutheran in Algiers Point.
All right. And how can we keep track of you year-round?
Yes, BennyGrunchAndTheBunch.net.
All right. And of course, we've got that CD that you keep replenishing with all of the standards as well. And please introduce the band, The Bunch.
Right here, this is Kathy Savoy on vocals.
All right.
Carlo Nuccio on drums and vocals. Alpo, Alan Poche on guitar and vocals. And can I just say quick, I met Kathy in 1965 on Bourbon Street as she was singing.
She was singing. She was singing.
She was working already.
Okay. And I can attest to that these fine folks have been together for a long time, which makes it extra special too. So what are you going to play for us tonight?
All right, this is a real Catholic song everybody knows, except we're going to change it up a little bit. "O Little Town of Destrehan."
Okay, well, I will scoot and let you start. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Town of Destrehan, you're still just about 3 miles from end to end, where I-310 has large and small reptiles. Yet way out on the interstate, there's everlasting light. It's gas they blow from Shell Norco. You see it every night. Plantations grand, oh, there they stand. The stuff they used to grow was southern fried and quick freeze-dried 2 centuries ago. But if you're too poor to take a tour and don't have time to wait, try New Sarpy's as U.S. Post Office 70078. Yes, they really jam in Destrehan, but that's not all there is. Ormond Estate's a real great place to bring up all your kids. And in the dark you'll find it. If it's late, don't make a sound, 'cause they've got class and lots of cash, so they get a neutral ground. But if you get lost in Destrehan and don't know where you are, take a right at any light, but don't get out your car. If something dark and slimy with teeth is in your seat, you did just fine. You're on airline in the swamp across the street. So good night, little Destrehan. Give us a big old cup. We gave away the mosquito spray, and the kids are all bit up. But guess who's going on a cruise before we get too old? To Disneyland or Afghanistan, whichever one's not closed. Guess I'll never see no Disneyland if it ain't on River Road.
And there is the cover of his latest CD, The 12 Yards of Christmas, and my 25th anniversary. I love it. A reminder, you can visit Benny's website, bennygrunch.net, to see all of the band's upcoming performances, as well as purchase their CDs, T-shirts, and other New Orleans-themed merchandise. A regular Ira Gershwin, huh, Alan?
Aye. That's all I can tell you. Well, you know, the holidays wouldn't seem right without Benny Grunch in the bunch.
That's
So,
true.
I mean, you know, I remember when we used to have a record store, we started with I think it was like maybe 4 songs. And it's grown. It's sort of like it keeps multiplying and multiplying. So now he's got 25 years in. So he must have about 12 or 13 songs, right?
At least.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, we talked a little bit about Michael McKelvey a few weeks back because he was directing and conducting. He was filling in for Dennis Asaf with their Jefferson Performing Arts Society's Irving Berlin's White Christmas, which was, you know, fantastic. I mean, really, Dennis put a lot of money into that orchestra. They had more strings in that orchestra than the Sanger the year before, believe it or not. They had synthesizers at the Sanger. They had actual strings. So, you know, Michael McKelvey did a masterful job. I was wondering why it was so good. I talked to somebody from the orchestra, and they said, yeah, we had extra, you know, another one of this and another one of that. The Sanger didn't have anything because they had played in the Sanger Orchestra too. So I really want to just, you know, give a shout out again to Michael McKelvey, because, you know, Michael's day job, as it were, aside from lifting up the baton for JPAS, is to be the artistic director at Summer Lyric at Tulane. And of course, he gave me the information as to their season that's coming up for next year. So listen up. This is what they're going to start off with. They're going to do a concert version of the Pirates of Penzance. We don't get to see enough Gilbert and Sullivan in town. This is in addition to the other 3 productions. So keep in mind that they're going to start off a concert version, Pirates of Penzance, similar to what they did with the Leonard Bernstein tribute that they did last year, or earlier this year, as it were. So then they're going to do 42nd
So Ricky
Street.
Graham is going to be in that, is he? Is he going to be in Pirates? Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
you know,
maybe.
I mean, there's a possibility.
Maybe. Okay.
There's a possibility.
Okay.
I didn't get all the details
That's
on all of the.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But 42nd Street, of course, the tap dancing vehicle with all of the old songs from the 30s that was done to perfection with Jerry Orbach years ago, and of course Christine Ebersol, who was just here in town. She won a Tony Award for her role there as well. They're going to do 42nd Street now. Rivertown Theaters did it, you know, a while ago. This is going to be with a live orchestra. So I'm thinking think it's going to be ramped up just a little bit more. The stage may not be as big as Rivertown's, but we'll see what they do. Okay. Then She Loves Me. Now this was the musical based on The Little Shop Around the Corner. This was Sheldon Harnickenbach, Jerry Bach and Sheldon Harnick's big musical before Fiddler on the Roof. So this is from around 1963, and it's just one of these endearing classics. Was a great vehicle for Barbara Cook, if you remember years ago. Just Ice Cream, just a great musical, and they revived it about 2 years ago on Broadway to thunderous applause, and unfortunately they closed the show before I got up there. So I get to see it on the streaming service that they had. So I did actually get to see it, but a wonderful show. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing that. And they're going to really end up the whole season with Matilda, the musical that was, of course, based on the film. Many of you remember all the kids singing and dancing, and they have to deal, with this uppity teacher that they have to contend with. But again, Matilda the musical will be in July, and I believe that also in July will be She Loves Me, and then in June will be 42nd Street. So look for all of that from the productions that they'll be doing for Tulane Summer Lyric Theater at Tulane. So if we can move on a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about what we saw this year on the boards, as it were. I want to consider a little bit about theater in New Orleans for this year. First off, we had Lucas Nace, A Dollhouse Part 2. This was something I was really looking forward to seeing because, it had just been on Broadway a couple seasons ago. It was a regional premiere of that work. And again, a masterful production. The version starred Jessica Podewell and Trey Burvant as Nora and Turvold, of course. You may remember at the end of Doll's House, not to spoil it, but at the end of Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen, of course, Nora slams the door shut because she's walking out on her family. Well, she returns. And this was really not just a well-done piece because of the drama that's attached to it, but also they had a lot of comedy in it as well.
Southern Rep, huh?
And Southern Rep put that on. So again, hats off to them. Also, another production that I really love was over at Cafe Istanbul. This was Hedwig and the Angry Inch that starred Edward Carter Simon and Kimberly Kay. She was directing. What a production. It was an adult production, don't get me wrong, but it was a wonderful production. And again, hats off to them. Now, as far as Rivertown Theaters, I wanted to mention, I really love the casting of Mark Fucci as Professor Harold Hill and Rachel Looney. This is a lady we're going to see a lot from. She was in Summer Lyric Theater last year as well, but she just also was with the New Orleans Opera. She's got a wonderful voice. She played Marion Peru, and again, I'm really looking forward to so many other things, but she did a great job in that particular production as well. Barry Shabaka Henley did Satchmo at the Waldorf. Again, he played also terrific. Miles Davis, and he channeled Louis Armstrong's manager, Joe Glazer, as well. But I got to tell you, that was just wonderful, and hats off again to the people at Le Petit and Maxwell Davis, the artistic director. Now, I want to talk again. We go back to Michael McKelvey. He had 3 excellent productions for Tulane Summer Lyric. My Fair Lady, of course. We talk about, but first off, I want to mention Newsies. Newsies was incredible. The first time we had a regional premiere with that, and look at the dancing. I mean, just an amazing display of acrobatic dancing that they had. And again, Diane Lala also to be mentioned for all that she does with Summer Lyric. Ragtime with an ensemble cast.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned
incredible.
It was incredible.
It was incredible. and then of course, My Fair Lady that I was mentioning earlier. Christopher Carey as Professor Henry Higgs. I'd like to see him in that role as well. And Jackie Vanderbeck, another newcomer. There you see her as Eliza Doolittle. And Bob Eads, if you remember Bob Eads Jr., he's Alfred Doolittle, was just, hysterical. So again, mention that as well. This summer also, Rivertown had a perfectly lovely production of Beauty and the Beast. So again, those of you who get to see their productions in the summertime, they also did a junior production. But by far and away, and I don't have the program to show up, my favorite production of this whole past year, the direction, of course, was fantastic. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That was with a chorus of 22 people, a cast of almost 30 players. It made the top of my list for a lot of reasons. Best musical, Stephen Schwartz and Alan Menken. The only time they ever did any show together. That's 2 big giant egos together, trying to work together, but it was magnificent. And it just filled up the Jefferson Performing Arts Center. And again, I just really wanted to make mention of the fact that I thought that was superb.
Alan, anybody who loves a Broadway musical, New Orleans seems to to be, apart from New York, of course, New Orleans is the place to be. It seems like almost every other month, okay, or maybe even every month at some local theater institution, you've got a musical.
And you know, there are places like Rivertown that specialize a lot of musicals. You know, you're not going to see musicals at Southern Rep. They, you know, really do more of the new plays and more of the dramatic pieces, etc. But you know, musicals really throw people.
And the Sanger.
And the Sanger's doing a very good job. I mean, so far.
is coming up.
Well, we'll talk about that. So
Yeah.
the Les Mis is coming up. Also, Rock of Ages, etc. We'll talk about that as well.
Book of Mormon's coming back.
Absolutely. So there's a lot
Yeah.
going on there. But you know, and when we say to other people around the country, other theater critics, you know, that New Orleans really does have a very viable theater scene, they sort of looked at, really? Yes, really, they do.
And of course, the big news, and there's going to be more to come, but Southern Rep doing sort of a soft opening with Mandatory Merriment and Doll's House too.
Right.
But that new facility having formerly been Our Lady, say Rose de Lima
Yeah.
Church, on right there on Broad and Bayou Road, and actually being a catalyst for some real excitement around there in terms of some of the little shops.
Right, exactly.
Like Kitchen Witch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And now it's time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are featuring the artwork of painter Chris Wenschu. This is The Magic is in the Feather. Born in East Germany and living in New Orleans since 2000, Wenschu is classically trained and specializes with oil paintings. This is Float into the Clouds, looks almost 3D, and Surrender. Float into the Clouds and Surrender. An exhibit of his work titled Tenderness is Lighter Than Air is on view now until January 26th at Lemieux Galleries on Julia Street. Visit the gallery's website for more information. Earlier today, pianist and singer Armand St. Martin came by to play for us. Let's take a look. Armand, it's nice to have you back again. You've been with us many, many times because you're somebody who's a man about town and influenced, of course, by Fats Domino, Toots Washington, and who are some other heroes of yours?
Roosevelt Sykes was a great New Orleans piano player. Archibald,
That goes way
James
back.
Booker, you know, the wonderful New Orleans piano players. And it's a great tradition of the solo guy putting on the whole show, which I love to do.
Yes, but you're not always solo. You have different permutations of bands, don't you?
I do. I have a jazz trio with some great musicians and a jazz quintet and even a rock and roll quintet. And we get out and play a lot of parties. That's
Whatever
right.
is needed. Now, if somebody wants to reach you, how can they do that easily?
Well, they can look us up on the pattyleerecords.com, and there's an email link that goes right to us.
Very good. Now, you also like writing your own music and songs, and you have quite a few CDs, but one of them here is called Alligator Ball, and one of your original compositions, I love that. Plus, you also have Katrina Anthem, and you're working on a new one, huh?
Yes, and we also have Sizzlin'.
Sizzlin'.
There's a lot of great songs on it.
Sounds good.
And as I mentioned earlier, Alligator Ball is one of my most popular songs, Saint Expedite.
Well, I'd love for you to come back another time, maybe around Easter or something, and we can have you for that,
I'd
too.
love that.
But what are you playing for us tonight?
I'm going to play Winter Wonderland.
Okay, getting us more in the mood
Yes, indeed.
of the holiday spirit, and well, I'll move out the way and you can take it away, huh?
Happy anniversary to Patty.
Okay, happy anniversary,
Today's
Pat.
our anniversary.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Take it away.
Sleigh bells are ring, all you listening in the lane. Snow is glistening, a beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new word. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we could build a snowman and pretend that he's Parson Brown. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, man, but you can do the job when you're back in town." Or later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid all the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we could build a snowman and pretend he's Parson Brown. We'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, ma'am, but you can do the job when you're back in town." Or later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire face unafraid of the plans that we made. Walking in a winter wonderland. I said, walking in a winter wonderland. I said, walking in the winter wonderland.
And to contact Armand St. Martin, go to Patty and Armand at mindspring.com to reach them. And now it's time for our picks. Miss Helen.
So it's really cold right now, right? I mean, for another month, maybe at the most. So for me, that's gumbo weather. And my favorite gumbo in town is definitely Gabrielle's. It's a smoked quail gumbo. And there's some anise flavored sausage in there and popcorn rice. And it's dark and swampy and delicious.
And if somebody hasn't been to Gabrielle, of course, we're talking about the Saulniers, you know, and right down the block from Dookie Chase.
Exactly.
It's easy to park
almost
right
across
outside.
the street.
Yeah. It's great.
Well, I wanted to let everybody know that Rock of Ages is coming here for just a few days, Saturday and Sunday, the 5th and 6th of January. That's the jukebox show of what more or less rock anthems, Sister Christian and songs like that. And it closed only a short while ago on Broadway. It's now enjoying its 10th anniversary, and they're titled this the 10th anniversary tour. It's going to have a stop not at the Sanger, but at the Mahalia Jackson Theater for the Performing Arts. And again, keep that in mind. It is a non-equity show. So again, you know, one of those shows that they actually staff with people who are not necessarily in the union, but who are talented performers.
All right. And my pick, the Funny 40 Fellows, PPP, are putting on their annual historic 12th night streetcar ride. That will be Sunday, January 6th. And they will assemble at 6:15 right there at the Willow Street Car Barn, right off South Carrollton, and will board at 7 o'clock. But it's really fun to kind of come out and see the PPP. Come and see somebody, maybe we know. Okay, because everybody's all dressed up, and the Storyville Stoppers are bebopping, and it's just a fun scene. So go to funny40fellows.com for more information. And of course, the route is the St. Charles Avenue streetcar route, but it's lots of fun just hanging out beforehand. Happy New Year, almost Happy New Year, I should say. And thank you so much for watching day in and week in and week out. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year. Good night.